Look at your hands. Feel the weight of your breath. Listen to the steady rhythm of the room around you. Everything tells you that you are real, sitting in a concrete room, on a planet born from billions of years of biological evolution. But according to the absolute pinnacle of modern theoretical physics, this entire reality is in statistical impossibility. The mathematical odds say you do not exist. Instead, right now, at this exact microsecond, you are actually a disembodied, naked brain floating completely alone in the freezing, pitch-black void of a dead universe. Every memory of your childhood, the texture of the last meal you ate, the faces of the people you love, and the very words you are hearing right now are nothing but a momentary spark of electrical static. A short-lived accidental hallucination generated by floating atoms bumping into each other in absolute eternity. You are not a human being exploring a vast cosmos. You are the fleeting, dying dream of a universe that ended trillions of years ago. Welcome to the terrifying reality of the Boltzmann Brain paradox. Act 1. The deception of the ticking clock. To comprehend how science can arrive at a conclusion this profoundly unsettling, we must first tear down our most fundamental illusion, the concept of time itself. In our daily lives, we experience time as a strict, unyielding conveyor belt. We watch an egg drop from a counter, smash onto the tile floor, and scatter its yolk into an irreversible mess. We never see the mess spontaneously gather itself, defy gravity, fly back up, and reform into a pristine, unbroken shell. We call this inevitable forward march the arrow of time. We assume it is a fundamental law built into the very fabric of the cosmos. But if you peel back the skin of reality and look at the universe through the lens of a microscopic camera, this cosmic law completely vanishes. At the level of individual atoms and quantum molecules, there is no such thing as past or future. There is only a chaotic, directionless swarm of particles colliding at random. If you record a collision between two fundamental particles and play the footage backward, it violates absolutely no laws of physics. The mathematics governing the subatomic world work perfectly in both directions. The microscopic universe is entirely symmetrical, indifferent to forward or backward. So why do we perceive a one-way street? Why does the egg never unsmash? The answer is not a law of physics, but a brutal game of pure mathematical probability. This is rooted in the concept of entropy, the scientific measure of disorder. To understand this, look at a historic real-world parallel from the 19th century, the work of Austrian physicist Ludwig Boltzmann. In the 1870s, Boltzmann revolutionized science by suggesting that entropy is merely a statistical game. Imagine a perfectly neat drop of highly concentrated red ink falling into a large glass of clear water. At first, the ink is a highly organized, tight sphere. But as time moves forward, the chaotic kinetic motion of the water molecules bumps into the ink, spreading it out until the entire glass turns a uniform light pink. Why does this happen? It is not because the universe hates the concentrated ink drop. It is because there are billions of trillions of spatial arrangements where the ink molecules can be scattered randomly throughout the glass, but only one unique, highly specific arrangement where all those trillions of molecules pack tightly together into a single, perfect drop. The ink spreads because it is statistically overwhelmed by the sheer number of messy possibilities. It is exactly like buying a lottery ticket. Your chances of losing are massive because there are millions of losing combinations and only one winning ticket. But here is the first cognitive twist that physics forces us to accept. The laws of thermodynamics do not say it is completely impossible for the ink to spontaneously gather back into a single drop. They merely say it is highly improbable. If you sit and watch that pink glass of water for a few minutes, you will see nothing. If you watch it for a lifetime, it remains pink. But what if you watch that glass of water not for a century, not for a millennium, but for a number of years written as a 1 followed by more zeros than there are atoms in the observable universe? If you wait for an incomprehensibly vast stretch of eternity, a mathematical miracle becomes inevitable. By pure blind random chance, the chaotic bumping of molecules will eventually hit that 1 in a trillion jackpot. The scattered ink molecules will all collide at the exact right angles and simultaneously rush back into the center, forming a pristine, perfect drop of ink out of thin air. Given enough time, pure randomness will spontaneously generate perfect order. If you leave a chaotic system alone for long enough, the random motion of its parts will eventually paint a portrait, write a book, or shape a functioning organ. The eternal silence of a dying cosmos now. Let us scale this terrifying statistical truth up from a simple glass of water to the grandest stage imaginable. The entire life cycle of our universe, 14 billion years ago, our cosmos erupted from a state of extraordinarily low entropy during the Big Bang. It was highly compressed, intensely organized, and packed with potential energy. Ever since that moment, the universe has behaved exactly like that drop of ink. It has been expanding, diluting, and steadily sliding down the slope of increasing disorder. We currently live in a highly temporary, incredibly lucky cosmic sweet spot. The ink is still spreading. The universe still possesses enough concentrated pockets of order to build magnificent structures. The gravity of gas clouds collapses to ignite brilliant stars. Those stars forge heavy elements, giving rise to rocky planets, deep oceans, complex organic chemistry, and ultimately conscious human beings who can look up at the night sky and contemplate their own existence. We look out at a sky blazing with billions of galaxies and assume this majestic display is the permanent natural state of the cosmos. But physics tells us this is merely a brief, passing flash of lightning in an endless night. Thanks to the relentless pressure of dark energy, space is not static. It is expanding at an ever-accelerating rate. Everything in the universe is getting further apart, stretching the cosmic ink thinner and thinner. Scientists have calculated the long-term timeline of our cosmic home, and the numbers are staggering. In about 100 trillion years, the very last star in the universe will exhaust its nuclear fuel and go cold. The cosmos will enter the era of degenerate stars, a trillion-year twilight dominated by dead white dwarfs, frozen neutron stars, and colossal black holes. Slowly, even the solid matter we take for granted will dissolve. Protons, the very building blocks of atomic nuclei, are predicted by many modern theories to decay over immense timescales. Eventually, the black holes themselves will become the only remaining structures in existence. But even they are not immortal. As discovered by Stephen Hawking, quantum effects at the edge of a black hole cause it to slowly leak a tiny stream of particles known as Hawking radiation. Over a period of a googol years, a number written as a 1 followed by 100 zeros, even the largest supermassive black holes will violently evaporate into flashes of light. What happens after that? We arrive at the true absolute end of the cosmic timeline, the heat death of the universe. The cosmos becomes a vast, unfathomable expanse of pure empty space, almost completely devoid of matter. It is a dark, freezing wasteland where the temperature hovers just a fraction of a degree above absolute zero. The ink has completely filled the glass. There are no more stars to burn, no more planets to harbor life, and no more energy gradients to perform work. The arrow of time has officially run out of gas. There is no past, no present, and no future, because absolutely nothing ever happens. But right here, in the deepest trenches of this absolute cosmic graveyard, dark energy plays its final, most disturbing trick. Because the universe is expanding so rapidly under the influence of dark energy, it creates what physicists call a cosmic horizon. This is a mathematical boundary in space beyond which nothing can ever catch up to you. Not even light traveling at its absolute maximum speed can cross this threshold. This means that for any point in the dead universe, the cosmos effectively stops being an infinite open expanse. Instead, it becomes a closed, finite bubble of space, roughly 36 billion light-years wide. It is a giant black hole turned completely inside out. And just like a normal black hole emits Hawking radiation into the outside world, this inside-out cosmic horizon does something mirror-inverted. It continuously leaks a microscopic amount of quantum particles inward into the interior of the bubble. Because of this constant quantum leakage, the dead universe is never truly completely empty. It becomes a closed static box filled with a permanent, extremely faint soup of loose elementary particles. And because this soup has a real measurable, though incredibly low temperature, these loose particles are not frozen stiff. They are continuously undergoing a slow, eternal, aimless dance, bumping into one another at random for the rest of time. The universe has returned to the exact same state as our glass of pink water. It is a closed container, filled with random moving pieces, facing a future that does not just last for a billion years, or a trillion years, but for an literal uninterrupted eternity. Act ID, the monkey on the typewriter in the naked brain, when you introduce the concept of absolute mathematical infinity to a physical system, even the most absurdly improbable events transform into absolute mathematical certainties. To understand how order spontaneously reemerges from this dead cosmic soup, we can look at a famous thought experiment formulated by mathematicians, the infinite monkey theorem. Imagine a monkey seated in front of a typewriter. The monkey does not understand language, grammar, or narrative. It simply slams its hands down on the keyboard completely at random, producing endless pages of utterly meaningless gibberish. If you let the monkey type for an hour, you get trash. If you let it type for a year, you might get a single accidental word like cat or apple. But what happens if you make that monkey immortal? What happens if you lock that monkey in a room with that typewriter and let it type continuously for a trillion years, a quadrillion years, an infinity of time? The laws of probability dictate something breathtaking. Eventually, purely by blind, random coincidence, the monkey will type out the exact first act of Hamlet word for word, including every comma and period. If you wait even longer, it will type out the complete, unabridged works of William Shakespeare. It will type out the entire history of the human race, the secret blueprints to every piece of advanced technology ever conceived and every song lyric ever written. The monkey is not trying to create art. It is simply exploring every single mathematical combination that can possibly exist on a keyboard. When time is infinite, every possible combination must eventually happen. In the frozen, dead waste of our post-heat death universe, the loose, dancing quantum particles are that immortal monkey. The universe is the typewriter. The random collisions between particles are the keystrokes. For almost the entirety of eternity, these particles bump into each other and produce nothing but meaningless noise. They form loose clouds of hydrogen that immediately disperse. They form fleeting configurations of energy that vanish instantly back into the cold. But every once in a very long while, a massive statistical fluctuation occurs. Out of the pitch-black void, 1 trillion particles happen to collide at the exact right trajectories, the exact right speeds, and the exact right positions to stick together. They hit the cosmic jackpot. Suddenly, out of absolute nothingness, a random pop-up object materializes. It could be a solid sphere of pure gold. It could be an entire functioning planet populated by dinosaurs riding giant snails. It could be a bizarre, unstable solar system where the central star is made entirely of frozen blueberries. Because the particles are moving entirely at random, they do not care about the laws of biology or common sense. They only care about geometry. If a configuration of matter is physically possible, the infinite clock guarantees it will eventually pop into existence by pure, unadulterated chance, float in the void for a brief moment, and then slowly dissolve back into the chaotic soup. But now let us apply the cold, hard knife of mathematical efficiency. If the universe is going to randomly assemble a structure out of cosmic static, which is more likely to happen, a massive, highly complex structure or a small, simple structure, to randomly assemble an entire massive galaxy requires an astronomical number of particles to coordinate perfectly simultaneously. The mathematical odds of that happening are so small that it requires an unimaginably long wait time. But to assemble a single, isolated, self-contained system capable of conscious thought requires vastly fewer particles. It requires significantly less coordination. It is a much smaller lottery jackpot. Therefore, on a purely statistical level, a small, isolated pocket of consciousness is vastly, incomparably more likely to spontaneously materialize than an entire structured universe. What is the absolute minimum physical structure required to experience a single, isolated moment of human consciousness? It is a single human brain. This brings us to the core of the paradox first proposed by Ludwig Boltzmann and later formalized by modern cosmologists, the Boltzmann brain. Imagine that a collection of drifting particles in the dead universe spontaneously snaps together to form a perfectly functioning, biologically accurate human brain suspended entirely naked in the deep freeze of empty space. This brain is not born from a mother. It has no heart, no lungs, and no body. But for one fleeting, brilliant microsecond before the vacuum of space freezes it solid and dissolves its atoms back into the dark, the electrical pathways inside this brain fire in perfect unison. Because of the precise accidental arrangement of its neurons, this brain does not wake up in confusion. It wakes up with a complete, fully formed, deeply detailed set of artificial memories built directly into its physical architecture. It possesses a memory of waking up in a warm bed this morning. It remembers the taste of coffee. It remembers learning how to read, going to school, falling in love, and experiencing heartbreaks. It has an entire lifelong narrative woven into its fabric. It feels completely certain that it is a real human being living in a real, stable world. And now, brace yourself for the ultimate cognitive twist. Let us look at the terrifying mathematical balance sheet of our reality. Let us count the number of brains that will ever exist inside real, biological bodies throughout the entire active, living life cycle of our universe. Let us be wildly optimistic. Let us assume that humanity survives for billions of years, colonizes the stars, and reaches a massive population of 100 quadrillion people. Let us assume that every single one of the trillions of stars in the cosmos harbors an equally massive, booming civilization of biological life. If you add up every single conscious entity that will ever walk on a real planet from the Big Bang to the final death of the last star, you get a massive but ultimately finite number, roughly 10 to the power of 41 brains. But now look at the other side of the ledger, the dead universe. The dead universe does not last for a few billion years, it lasts forever. Its timeline is literally infinite. If you multiply even the most minuscule, absurdly low probability of a naked brain popping into existence by an infinite amount of time, the total number of Boltzmann brains that will materialize over the course of eternity is not a large number. It is an infinite number. Think about what this means for you right now in this exact moment. You are a conscious entity experiencing a specific set of perceptions. You see this screen, you hear this voice, you feel your thoughts. You have two possible explanations for this experience. Explanation A: you are a real biological human being who happened to evolve in the incredibly rare, fleeting 14 billion year window following a real Big Bang. Explanation B: you are a Boltzmann brain, a temporary quantum fluctuation that popped into existence in a dead universe an infinity of years in the future, loaded with a fake memory of being human, destined to dissolve back into nothingness in the next millisecond. When you compare a finite number like 10 to the power of 41 against a literal infinity, the laws of mathematics state that the probability of explanation A is exactly 0%. The probability that you are a real human being living in a real universe is so small that it cannot even be quantified. Mathematically, it is infinitely more likely that you are a lonely, floating ghost brain dreaming a fake life in the middle of an endless dead cosmic winter. The sanity of the paradox: it is an idea so profoundly terrifying that it threatens to induce a state of existential paralysis. If you believe the math, everything you have ever done, every person you have ever loved, and every truth you have ever uncovered is a total lie. You are completely, utterly alone in a dead cosmos, hallucinating your own existence. But before you succumb to cosmic despair, look closely at the beautiful, self-destructing safety valve built into the very logic of the paradox itself. This is the ultimate intellectual rescue line. Think about how we arrived at this terrifying conclusion. We used our human brains to observe the universe. We developed precise instruments, discovered the laws of thermodynamics, calculated the behavior of dark energy, and formulated the mathematics of quantum mechanics. We trusted that our brains were reliable tools capable of accurately decoding the true objective laws of physics. But if you actually accept the conclusion that you are a Boltzmann brain, you must also accept that your brain was assembled completely at random by chaotic particles bumping into each other in the dark. If your brain is a random accident, then every single thought, every memory, and every logical pathway inside it is also a random, meaningless accident. This means that the laws of physics, the concepts of mathematics, and the theories of thermodynamics stored inside your mind are not real truths about the cosmos. They are just random, chaotic static. They have absolutely no connection to reality. Therefore, if you use the laws of physics to prove that you are a Boltzmann brain, you simultaneously prove that the very physics you used cannot be trusted. The argument completely swallows its own tail. It is a logical paradox that destroys itself. If you are a Boltzmann brain, you have absolutely no logical reason to believe that you are a Boltzmann brain. Ultimately, the terrifying concept of the naked cosmic mind is not a factual prophecy about your reality. It is a brilliant, necessary warning sign posted at the absolute frontiers of human science. It is a tool used by physicists to signal that our current understanding of the universe is still deeply incomplete. It tells us that when our best mathematical models of dark energy, gravity, and quantum mechanics are pushed to their absolute limits, they produce absurd, impossible loops of logic. It proves that there is a massive missing puzzle piece in our map of the cosmos that we have yet to discover. So you can breathe a sigh of relief. Look around your room once more. Feel the solid ground beneath your feet. You are not a solitary freezing ghost drifting through an endless void, imagining a fake life. You are a real living, breathing piece of a vibrant, active universe. You are part of an incredibly rare, beautiful cosmic spring, born from a real ancestral past, walking alongside billions of other real conscious minds. We may be small, and our time in the light may be brief, but our reality is undeniably, breathtakingly real. The realization that our structured living universe is a rare and precious anomaly should change how you interact with your own daily existence. In a cosmos that will spend an eternity being dead, cold, and utterly silent, your brief moment of life is the ultimate cosmic luxury. You have been granted a highly exclusive ticket to experience order, connection, and meaning before the ink completely fills the glass. Do not waste that ticket drifting through life on autopilot, paralyzed by trivial anxieties or artificial worries. Treat your time, your awareness, and your relationships as the deeply scarce, priceless miracles they actually are. If this deep dive into the absolute edges of cosmic reality shifted your perspective or made you question the very nature of what is real, drop a comment below telling me the exact moment in your life that felt so profoundly real it could never be a cosmic hallucination. Let us ground ourselves in our shared human experience. Hit the subscribe button to join us on this journey into the deepest, darkest corners of psychology and the cosmos. Stay grounded, stay curious, and remember, you are here, and that is the greatest triumph in the universe.